Media Melanie Talks TV. I'm Melanie, and today I'm back to talk about Silo on Apple TV Plus, Season 2, Episode 8, The Book of Quinn. Before we get into my reaction and review, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate everybody who's here for my TV talk journey, so thank you for that. First and foremost, why is this show so dark? This is something I've been struggling with all season long, but this episode in particular, it felt darker than ever. I mean, it's physically hard to see. Is anybody else having this issue? There are some other TV shows I think that struggle with this lighting situation as well, but can we not just brighten things up a little bit more, please? I mean, I want to see what is happening on my screen. So, there's that. I'm also getting the vibe that this show, this season in particular of Silo, feels like a video game. And then we get part of the decoded message from Salvador Quinn's letter that said, if you've got this far, then you know the game is rigged. Fallout, which is a very similar show to Silo in that they are both post-apocalyptic, they are both dystopian. Fallout is adapted from a video game, but this season of Silo is starting to feel like one. We've got Juliet out there literally MacGyvering her way through Silo 17, from building bridges to rope swinging across things to diving down in water, even getting the bends. I mean, this character is completing one journey after another. And for a show that is adapted from novels and not a video game, it sure is feeling pretty gamey to me. In this episode in particular, I mean, we have Juliet overcoming more challenges, this time additional people in Silo 17. She has a literal shield and spear and is attempting to get her suit back by trying to get to these people, figure out who they are, and talk to them and say, hey, I'm not after you. I'm just trying to get my suit from the guy you're saying that you killed. And do we believe that they actually killed Solo? I've got to say, no chance. For an actor as big as Steve Zahn, and for a character who is apparently really important in the books, which I have not read, it would surprise me to give this character an off-screen death. If they are going to kill Solo, I would expect to see it on screen so we can all be there to watch it and know exactly what happens. But that is not the sort of thing they should just be leaving up in the air. So I am team Solo is alive. They are keeping him somewhere. Maybe they are questioning him. And now that we know these are essentially what look like teenagers in the silo, this raises more questions for us. First, were they born in the silo? Were they children of other survivors who've been somehow being able to eat and have the resources they need to survive for decades? That seems pretty crazy to me, but I mean, I guess it's possible. I am more inclined to think that they are from the outside. Now, I'm not sure if they came from the surface or if they arrived via tunnels, but when we saw those two bodies outside of the vault earlier this season, they were not as decomposed as the others that Juliet encountered when she was on the surface. So, could those two bodies have been the parents of these teenagers that we saw? And if so, are the teens now enacting their revenge on Solo for having killed their parents? How long have they been there? I mean, they've been giving us clues that there was at least one other person in the silo, just based on some of the camera angles and the ominous feelings and the type of shots that they've taken in Silo 17 this season. So I don't think it's a huge surprise to find out that there's other people there, but also the timing of them letting themselves be known to Juliet is really interesting to me. Why did they wait for her to be underwater to go ahead and take Solo? Juliet and Solo have been out and about in the silo before this, and it does seem like there were probably other opportunities. If they were trying to get Solo alone, I mean, he was busy treating Juliet's wounds, and seems like he probably had to scramble to other parts of the silo, maybe to get the antibiotics and the medical supplies to treat her. So why now? And we've only got 2 more episodes in this season. All I've wanted all season is for Juliet to get back to her people in 18. And I understand we need to give her a story, draw it out, make her overcome all of these different challenges. But with 2 episodes left, I'm starting to think that we are going to get Juliet going back to 18 And that's all we're going to get is the moment of her return. And something I've been saying this entire season is what happens when she does return? She can't just knock on the door, say, oh, hey guys, I'm back, and expect a warm reception. If Bernard knows that she's back, forget about it. She's going right into solitary. And in trailers this season, we've actually seen Lucas Kyle down below the silo, climbing up from where we've actually seen Lucas Kyle climbing up from down below in the silo. Does he eventually make his way down to the tunnels? And could this be when Juliet makes her way back in the tunnels and Lucas discovers her? Well, that would sure be coincidental, but it's got to be some sort of entry point for Juliet back in 18 like that, where she encounters somebody that she trusts so she can be eased back into her existence there, only let a core group of people know, because obviously her existence, she's alive, she's coming back to the silo, that alone is enough to cause a rebellion. Which is exactly what Juliet has been trying to avoid this entire time by making it back to her people to warn them about what did transpire over in Silo 17. And speaking of rebellions, we did learn in this episode from Bernard that Salvador Quinn was actually a hero. Whereas his family and descendants who thought that he kind of was a black mark on their existence, it turns out Salvador Quinn was a hero. The fact that he burned the books and emptied the servers allowed the history of the silo to be severed from the people. That, along with the fact he was using these forget-me drugs in the water, so people would forget that there were in fact rebellions every 20 years. Now it's been 140 years, so it's given them time to breathe, time for people to forget this cycle of rebellion that has probably happened in every other silo as well. I would imagine the drugs that were put in the water are the same ones that Bernard said he would end up giving to Kennedy. So obviously, these drugs have been around for a while. So what else have they forgotten? And because we now have this information about Salvador Quinn, the Penbrooks actually come clean and say that, that it was actually the copy of the pact that Meadows had come looking for, which then allows Lucas to get the pact and start decoding this message. And again, we get this cryptic thing. If you've made it this far, then you know the game is rigged. Something we've talked about is there being an overseer, a person in charge of all of the silos. Is this some big experiment and game? Is there this big overarching premise where somebody is watching these societies and the cycles they go through to try to somehow improve civilization and the way in which they react to stress and tension? Because a reference to a game, again, this season feels like a video game. I mean, we've got characters overcoming all of these obstacles, all of these journeys, particularly over in Silo 17. And then we have our big bad Bernard over in 18 making a deal with Walker. And this is another question I've asked before. Why does anybody trust Bernard, especially Walker, who is a fierce leader and advocate for Mechanical, for the Down Deep? What is she thinking? I get it. She wants to save Carla. She obviously saw that Carla is in there suffering. Bernard wants her to be a mole and give her people up. So she does. She lets Bernard know about the plan to break into supply. But why is Walker doing this? I mean, of course she cares for Carla, but how can she betray her people as a whole for one person? It does not seem on brand for her character. It makes me wonder, is there a long con plan to this? I don't know how there could be, given that she was forced to turn her camera back on and Bernard told her not to leave the workshop. So she can't exactly be out there dispersing this information that she's a mole. So I'm not sure exactly where the story's going to go for Walker, but I've got to hope she's got a bigger plan, because anybody who is still trusting Bernard at this point, I'm sorry, I can only suspend my disbelief so far, and Walker has been around for a long time. She knows better. So hopefully she's got something else up her sleeve. What do you guys think? I mean, seriously, drop a comment and let me know. What is Walker thinking? Do we think she has something else in mind? Because I sure hope so. And can we talk about the Sims again? We've got Camille going to Amundsen and trying to encourage him to help her husband. And then Sims, of course, later meets up with him at the apple tree from this encoded message situation. I don't know, Camille is sure getting her hands in a lot of stuff. And I've got to imagine at some point, Rob's going to be like, hey, lady, let me handle my damn business. I mean, he's already been disgraced and put in the role of judge. And like Amundsen said as well, Rob, you weren't reporting to the judge when you were in my role, so I'm surprised he even helped him out, but it does seem like they had a shared common history, so I get it. But it is apparently the last time he will be helping Sims, so I don't know. I don't know what's next for Camille and Rob, but the Sims are sure getting themselves in a lot deeper. And then Billings and Kathleen, them bonding over that picture of the Blue Mountains and the emotion of it all, and what happened to the earth for us to be down here now looking at this page from what is now ancient history. I mean, also, I felt bad for Kathleen. She has put herself out there for Billings so much, and the fact that she didn't even know he had the book, chiseling away the trust a little bit there. So it does seem like they were able to work it out, but hopefully Billings can stay honest to his wife, who's been his biggest ally in all of this. Next week's episode on January 10th is episode 9, and it's called The Safeguard. What exactly is the safeguard? Could it relate to Juliet somehow getting back to the silo and maybe a safeguard in place to let people in from other failed silos? I'm not sure, but if we are going by things we've seen in the trailer that we haven't seen happen yet, I'm really dying to know what Lucas is doing down there, down deep in the silo. Are the tunnels finally going to come into play? I have been waiting for a tunnel excursion and reveal this whole season. We know the tunnels are there. Could the teenagers in Silo 17 actually be the piece of information that we need? Maybe Juliet doesn't even need her suit. Maybe these teenagers know about the tunnels and they're going to be the ones to tell Juliet, and that's why this whole thing is happening. And we still need to figure out if Silo is alive, but like I said, I'm pretty sure he is because I don't think they're giving Steve Zahn's character an off-camera death. I would love to know what you thought about this episode. Was it the most revealing and action-packed? Definitely not. There's been a decent amount of what I think are filler episodes this season. I want to get to the meat and potatoes. I want Juliet back. I would like to get a little bit of context of what happens when she gets back, but again, I am starting to fear we're getting a big cliffhanger at the end of the season. We will see Juliet get back, maybe to a door, maybe to a tunnel, but I don't think we're going to get much beyond that. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm back here for the episode 10 reaction and review video saying, I can't believe it. I can't believe everybody's jaw on the floor now that they've seen Juliet return. But that seems like a lot of action to happen in just 2 episodes. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my coverage of the last 2 episodes of Silo Season 2. I am also covering Dexter Original Sin on Paramount Plus with Showtime, and Severance Season 2 returns on Apple TV Plus this month, so I am here for weekly coverage of that as well. Looking ahead to February, The White Lotus is returning on Max, which I will also be covering. Lots of great TV this year, you guys, so please, again, be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a thing. Go ahead and give this video a like and drop some comments with your thoughts on this episode and other shows that you might like to see me cover this year. I really appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for watching. I'll be back again soon. Media Melanie, clicking off.